Alright. Cool. Let's just let people know that we are live. Official content. Boom. Late start, but still going to live stream for a couple of hours today. Come and hang out. Come and say hi. That'd be great. Come and say hi. All right. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, babe?
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Not much you can do.
Not much you can do. Okay. Let me get this chat up. Hey! Says Eblisir. How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. We're going to be working Legend of Driftwood. How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming. We're going to be live streaming for a couple hours here, doing Legend of Driftwood. Still working on the 1.62 update. We did a new map last yesterday, because that's how you say yesterday. Oh, it's one of those days, guys. We're trying. We're going to make it happen. That's the thing. We're going to make it happen. Wheel it into existence. The Dynamic Dudes, how you doing? I haven't had to use doodads yet on this project. I've done it with Natural Explorers and Dungeons of Driftwood. Haven't put it in Legends, the first one that I put out. So, and of course, here I am, Mushri. Welcome, welcome. The notorious Mushri. I'm trying to think of like what kind of things could be in here. It's already bigger than it needs to be. This map. We need like some sort of something here for this event, like some image. Gotta put some image in here. Welcome to the stream. Bring some tunes, put on whatever you want to listen to, and ask me any questions about RPG Maker. That's typically what's going to happen. I'm going to work on my project and answer questions about the engine and anything related. Don't want to use these default ones. I haven't made too many custom resources for this project besides, resizing stuff. Hey, Geister. Yeah, no worries, my dude. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for saying hi. I think for now, we'll just do some sort of placeholder thing. Why not? Why not? Just need to be some sort of portal. So we'll use this blue one. And we'll make stepping direction fix. And same right here. Take that same one. Take this one. Stepping direction fix. Okay, now there's something visible there. So, trying to figure out what to do for like furniture. This is a dungeon map. So, I mean, are these NPCs just going to be standing around? It seems awfully big to have the NPCs just standing around. I think what I'm going to do is shrink this entire map so that it doesn't look so crazy. That's why they made it small in the Final Fantasy X dungeon as well, I'd imagine, is because there just doesn't need to be more, and it's easier to work on smaller maps. It's 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 5. Undo, undo. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. And then we'll take the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bang. That did not work the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, because it's not equal on both sides. I get it. So start here and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh gosh, I accidentally right-clicked. I'm on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. 1. Down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that will work. That will work. And then we go like this, 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 this. Okay. Now that makes more sense to me. We can still have this auto run going on. We have a guy here, we have a guy here, and a guy here. And then we can have something else over here if we want later on. This is all it really needs to be. Christian Micah, how you doing? Dynamic Dude says the next time you're at your corner store or dollar store, you should go to the drink fridges and see if they have Hubert's lemonade. It's so good. I bought some strawberry lemonade today. And some peach lemonade from Tropicana. Could add an underground waterway. I could, Anthony Browning. That's a good idea. If I wanted it to look a lot better. And the thing is, it's just sounds like a fart, huh? My chair is a fart chair. Sorry, it's not me, I swear. I would claim it. Now this is an igloo on the world map. Giuseppe, how you doing? Lurking at work. Took your advice from yesterday and joined your Discord. Seems like a nice place. Cool, thank you. Welcome up to the team. Strawberry lemonade sounds so good right now. I have water though. I don't want to get up. You're lazy. I'm not. You're lazy. Click to read your unread notifications. What? Unread notifications? We dropped frames 13% 8 minutes ago. Is the stream dying? I got a green thing here. It looks like it's doing fine now. Apparently we dropped frames at some point. Today is one of those days. Magda, how are you? Anyway, that's a better rendition of the map. The lighting should be good. What did you miss? Nothing much. You didn't miss anything. I was just redesigning the map a little bit, making it smaller. Yeah. Hey, that looks pretty good. The little blue thing inside the circle there. I mean, it's a default asset, but it works. It works fine. And you've got these 4 guys. Never mind that we're invisible. You're not going to start in this cave. I guess their names kind of signify what they do. You got the guy who sells stuff. And then you got the guy that lets you purchase stones, right? The battle emblems for money. which lets you start the battles. Assignment Officer lets you buy party members, like create new party members, which the system might not work. And then we have the guy that fully recovers us. Let's test the transfer event. Is it set to action button? Are they both set to action button? Let's fix that. They should be player touch. Yeah, let's change it to player touch. And on the world map, do the same thing. And that's patched in. Now we have the basic arena set up. Let's load the game and see what happens if I have coins and try to use it right now. I need to look at the actual system and the common events. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is going to be messing with the player, the custom arena system that we put in this game, and try to bring it up to date and all the things that are broken about it, fix it. It worked fine when I first originally used it. Come back when you have a token. Would you like to purchase a token? Yeah, let's purchase a token. Take it to the telepoint to use. Would you like to use it? Yes. Welcome to the monster arena. In order to fight monsters here, you will have to capture creatures from around the world. Capturing a single monster will allow you to fight them from here. The more enemies you capture, will unlock harder and more custom. That's not even a complete sentence. That's a messed up sentence. Let's fix that. So let's look at what happens. We're running the arena main common event, so let's look at that common event. Arena main. So let's look at this. The more enemies you capture, I can just say capturing enemies will unlock harder and more custom monsters. So capture more enemies, will unlock harder and more customized monsters. Creatures. Capturing more enemies will unlock harder and more customized creatures to battle. Okay, that's fixed. And then, this is a HimeWorks hide choice script. Do I still have HimeWorks' hide choice plugin in? So let's see if this breaks. Hidden choices are off. So that's one thing I'll have to update. Ganfly has a comparable functionality. I just got to change the usage, which is what I plan to work on. So, okay, is it in the message core that lets me hide? Let me just do a control F here. It doesn't let you do that here? Okay. Why not? Why not? It's so much easier just to do that. So what I'll do is I'll select all. Here's a trick when you want to search the help file for a keyword. Load Sublime or any other text editor. Just create a new file and paste it in there, and then, nope. That's not what I wanted to have copied. We can close this for now. Let's go into our thing, and we press Control A. That selects all. Control C should copy it. Let's close this out and paste this. There we go. Now what we'll do is we'll just go to the top, press Control F, and now I forgot what I was searching for. Do you remember the word I was going to search for?
No, sorry.
Amazing. Amazing concentration. Yeah, that's great. It's always fun when that happens. Oh, hidden choice. So something with something for hidden choice. No, not PowerShell. Find hidden choice. Hidden choices? No. What about hide? What about choice? Choice. Find previous. Find all. Choices only shows up one time in the version updates. word wrapping. Okay, so that didn't help me at all, but that's fine. At least I know that I don't have to go up and down. I know that it doesn't appear in the text. So, I mean, the whole process of copy-pasting the text and running a search with Control-F is what you want. So what am I doing here? In this script call, I was using HamiWorks' plugin to hide the choice 1 inside the next thing at the bottom where I say show choices, and then I show these 6 choices as well as combining them with more show choices. So all of these choices are added together in one joined list, so the player gets to pick what monster they want to fight, but if they don't have at least one of that monster captured, it won't show up. So it doesn't say which monster do you want to fight and then list every monster when you haven't captured anything. So let me see if I can just enable that plugin. If not, I'll find a way to make it work. Not a big deal. That's the point of tackling, bringing stuff back up to date. But it might behoove me to at least try to turn on hidden choices and see what happens. It might just not work. The game might have a bug at some point. I remember I turned off these plugins one at a time, and I think this caused an issue somewhere. Okay, let me catch up on the chat. I just had to get stuff rolling and figure out what I'm going to be doing and get myself on track before I got too sidetracked. But yeah, I can definitely take questions and whatnot. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. I'm doing alright today. I mean, all things considered, it's been a good day, but it's been responsibilities and then trying to rush things and then kind of a little bit of frustration mixed in there. Dynamic Dude says, oh my god, I don't want to use default RPG Maker MV maps, but I need a few little villages and I suck at map making. Does anyone know someone who's good at map making who would like to join a game dev team? What's in it for them? Are you going to offer them something? You could use sample maps if you don't want to use make the maps yourself and you want to use them for placeholders. Gotta catch 'em all. Drift 'em on. That has a little ring to it, doesn't it? Kind of like that. Drift 'em on. Go to the forums, Dynamic Dudes. There's a lot of free tile sets. But like you said, you don't like making the maps yourself. There are some pre-made maps out there. And there's also, of course, the sample maps that you can input. I recommend if you're being extremely lazy, you could just use a sample map. I've done it in this game. I mean, if you're not charging for your game, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just like it's gonna take away its own customized flair. It's not gonna feel different, but if it makes the game if it puts the game together so that you can finish the project, then just do it. You know, it's better than having a project that you're like, well, it's not done, and then it never gets done, right? So put in a sample map and don't go too overboard with things on it. And then when you get the time and the money or you can hire someone to do it, or if you get the inspiration from somewhere, then you'll use some free resources off the forum and make the map yourself, and then replace the sample map with your custom map. It's not required to start off with a huge customized map. Make it a smaller than average map, just big enough to hold the things you need, and make it a placeholder until you've got something better, so you can continue working on your project. Giuseppe says, do you find it better to laser focus one project at a time, work on two equally separate from each other, or have a primary and secondary project? I know everyone has their preference. What is yours? And how do you manage your approach to your prioritizing? Great questions. I recommend you work on one project at a time. You see that I have multiple projects open. I'm not actively working on Natural Explorers at the moment. I am going to continue working on it once I put out a content patch for The Legend of Driftwood, which should be very soon. So this was on the back burner for a few months. This is the commercial project I'm working on, and this is the free project I'm putting out. So I'm updating this project every now and then. I recommend, even if you're working on multiple projects, that you highly focus on one at a time. It's hard enough to figure out what you put in the game, what plugins you're using. If you're actively jumping back and forth and trying to actively develop, can I say active one more or two more times, multiple projects at the same time, then you're going to get lost and you're going to forget what you did and what project and what goes where. And what will happen is the homogenization of your projects will happen is you'll see that they sort of blend into each other and kind of become the same game, which is not what you want to do. So even if you have multiple projects open and you're using one as a sample, or you're actually going to sell one, or you're making one for free, focus on one at a time. And you can draw inspiration from each other, from your neighboring projects that you're working on, side projects and whatnot. But try to focus on one at a time. It'll just help you stay a little sane. And then when you play your games, they'll feel different. Unless you're working on them at the same time, they'll feel very similar, most likely. I mean, if they're in the same engine. But everyone's different. I'm not saying that's the best approach, but that's my personal approach. So while I'm working on the content patch for Legend of Driftwood, I won't mess with Natural Explorers. I'm not going to make any new assets for it. I'm not going to touch it until I get this patch done. And then once I can put out a patch, update the website, update the links, tell everyone here's the testing keys, here's the download link, and go find a way to break it so that I can patch it. And then I'll be looking into Natural Explorers again when I'm expecting I found a game-breaking bug. So whenever you release a big content patch, expect to have to do a little patch right after that. It's always been that way for the small little free projects I've made. Like, I'll put them out there, and then the next day I've got reports saying there's resources missing for this thing. There's a game-breaking bug. I found a glitch that you can have unlimited money, or I found a way that you can, a price is at zero, and then the next day you have to, soon, shortly after, you do a smaller patch, so you have to do all that updating again, and then you do the same thing. So that's why it helps to have beta testers too. Great questions. How do you manage your approach to your prioritizing? I think what I was saying with how a lot of your projects will become homogenized if you're using the same engine in multiple projects, so you don't want them all to feel the same. So I kind of take the approach of, if I'm focusing on what I've learned, what I'm doing on this project alone, it's going to definitely make this project be what I'm working on at this time, and then it won't feel the same as the second project. So there'll be months or weeks or even years apart in between them. So I'll have learned things messing with this project, so when I go back to my other project, it will behoove me to not go so far that I either have to accept the lower part quality from what I can do, or remake assets. Because remember the discussion we had yesterday or the day before, Giuseppe, about how, like, when you're working on your project, if you're doing it for, say, a year, by the end of that year, you're going to look at your earlier stuff and go, like, I could do that so much better if I redo it. But if you just put it off to the side while you're working on one project, by the time that you get that project done, you will have gotten much better at your skill level. So when you come back to this other project, you don't have to remake as many maps. You don't have to be dissatisfied with a lower quality. That is considering you get better over that year, which ultimately, if you do anything, even if you're trying not to get better, if you do the same thing many times, practice it every day, you're going to get better. Guaranteed, you're going to get better. So great questions, Giuseppe, as usual. Are we playing Driftymon now? I mean, you're capturing monsters, but you're not like going to capture them and let you do Pokemon. No, we're not playing Driftymon. You're going to capture them in a same sense that you capture them in Final Fantasy X, where you kill them with the sword that has, like, a certain property that captures monsters, slightly weaker sword than you would normally have, and then if they die with that killing blow, they're considered captured, and then it adds to a variable, and then you can fight those creatures in the arena, and when you get like 10 of this creature, then like the super version of that creature is available for battle, and that super creature will have its own experience that you get from it, its own drops, and that's how you get certain items. You have to capture 10 of this creature and then beat the super boss that comes from capturing 10 of these creatures. Later on, I hope to make it like where I can splice two of them together and make new creatures. I don't have a ton of extra battles, but I do have most of the system designed, as long as these plugins will work together. So yeah, you're not going to capture and then like I choose you. No, you're going to be killing in the arena, being able to fight the things that you capture, and higher powered versions of the types of creatures that you capture. Dynamic Dude says, yeah, I think I'm going to release a demo with normal default maps and then use that to see if anyone wants to help us. And we're selling the soundtrack for like 99 cents. Okay, sure. I mean, if your soundtrack is any good, you should ask $5 for it. Don't sell yourself short, because you're not going to get the numbers that you're thinking. If you want to even pay for the effort, ask at least $5, Dynamic Dudes. $4.99. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, Magda. Cheesy says, don't worry about making big things in general. People will enjoy a more well-composed small project versus some massive thing that isn't given as much equivalent time. Yeah, exactly. That's the idea of you don't want to jump in saying, I'm going to make an 80-hour adventure. Not everybody wants an 80-hour adventure. I mean, who has 80 hours to throw into a game anymore? I mean, I love Final Fantasy X in that I did play it for 120 hours, and there's a few games that I'll dump hundreds of hours into. But the typical RPG, I don't play for 80 hours. I probably play for like 30, 40, even 50 if I like it, and more if I really love it, which is not very often anymore. Giuseppe says he has new idea syndrome, which makes finishing things difficult. I think that's a common thing. Practicing sticking to one thing has been my biggest focus. Yeah, no problem. Definitely try to do that, because it's so hard to make a game. You know, there's so many aspects to making a game. You know, not just pumping out garbage, but like putting together a decent game, that if you're trying to tackle 2 or 3 at the same time, you're like setting yourself up for failure. Even I'm taking a break from my other projects while I'm updating this one. DJ Paradigm Shift, what's up? Hey, Mog. What's up, Mog Returns? Mog Returns has returned. Heyo. Okay, let's get back to testing. Good questions, guys. Here's the medic. Fully recovers us. We are fully recovered. We can buy weapons. And if we buy the capture weapons, I need to look at the code inside all of these capture weapons too. I think I'm using Yanfly's weapon. Yanfly's Weapon Unleash plugin, which will let me do attack replace. I totally want to make a multiplayer RPG. I think most devs at some point have in their head the urge, at least, to have a multiplayer game. Like, what about you? Wouldn't you want to have a multiplayer game like that you're responsible for creating?
I don't know. I never actually thought about it. Honestly,
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of people have told me this, and myself as included.
I could see the appeal.
Like, it would be awesome to have a network of people who play your game. Like, it's not just you're playing a game, but they're interacting with each other on a server. Like, yeah, that sounds awesome.
That's what I would want, is the interactability. That's neat.
Yeah, like a little game economy that they like can trade back and forth and stuff. And I think a lot of us want that, right? But the thing is, it's so hard. Networking and netcode is extremely hard to get right, and even the most talented coders can't stop someone from hacking and destroying your economy. You have cheaters even in huge AAA games where they're paying millions of dollars to stop people from hacking the game. So you either accept the inevitability that you can't stop hackers, or you just give up on the idea entirely. Everything is hackable. Everything. So, I mean, you could still make a game that people can play fairly, but if somebody, there's just the ability out there, people have the ability that they can ruin it for everybody if they wanted to, if they felt like it. I was actually going into GMS2 looking at netcode tutorials, and it's kind of cool how data is sent between a server and a client, and how you have to like decide the size of the byte of the byte or kilobyte of the data, and then decide the order that it's stored in a packet, and then have the client have a different set of code that takes that data and unpacks it, and then distributes those values where they need to go. So it's not as simple as just making a game. Making a game where you have multiple clients interacting with the server is extremely different. It's very, very different. Like, the core game would be the same, but the way that the server's software interprets everything, that it sends data and receives data, is like a whole nother ball game that most game developers never even touch. They never even get there. You can make an amazing game. If you make your game and you're like, now all I got to do is make this online. How do I have multiple connect? It's like you're designing a whole nother thing, designing the netcode for it. And then once again, it is hackable. So yeah, I would love to have some sort of multiplayer RPG. But it's super hard. Shiny Blue Dragon, hiya, back at ya. Love everything you do. Keep up the good work. Got a question for you. Is it possible to implement a mechanic where if you engage with an object or person instead of engaging in combat, you instantly defeat them, but it takes away 1 to 2 of your hunger instead? Obviously, you need to have a hunger bar mechanic set in place. I am trying to think of a good alternative to the combat system. Any advice or ideas would be great. Okay, so you're giving me a lot to think about here. I mean, so you got a hunger system. Let's say you have 10 bars. Is it possible to implement a mechanic where if you engage with an object or person instead of engaging in combat, yeah, obviously you can do that. Sure. Instead of engaging in combat, you instantly defeat them. Yeah. I need more context to tell you how to do it. The short answer is yes, you can do that. That's possible. Are you using RPG Maker MV? Is your combat using scene battle, or is it like a tactics thing? When you engage with an object, I mean, basically, if it's like what I think it is in an RPG Maker using scene battle, you're going to just use events inside of your battle, your troop events. Just make troop events, and then inside that battle, very quickly to illustrate what I'm talking about, inside that battle, Shiny Blue Dragon, your troop events, let's say that this is your boss fight right here. Let's just put this in here for now. Boss man, boss dude. Instead of just fighting this guy, you'd make a condition. So the conditions would be instantly, probably. You'd toggle through these to see which one works best, and you'd make a switch. So if they touch that event, then you turn the switch on. So the switch would be something like instant kill switch, instant kill on. And so if this switch is on, then it's going to run this stuff. Try the span of battle, then turn, then moment, and see what works best. But when you get into battle, you would do something like that, and then all you would do is probably change enemy HP. For the whole troop, and you could just say decrease it by max HP or whatever, allow knockout. So if they've touched that thing, right, then as soon as they touch that thing, you can have their hunger go down then by reducing the variable for their hunger bar, or you can have their variable, you can reduce it here with a change variable. So you change the variable whatever that is, right? I'll put a comment, change hunger variable here. So you can do it like that. So as soon as they get into battle, if that switch is on, because they touch the item to instantly kill them, then that whole troop will just instantly die, allow knockout, and make your hunger go down. And that's basically it. So, I mean, there's other ways to do it, but that's a simple, easy fix, easy way to make that kind of system work. Let's go back into here and turn instant kill switch to 0 to nothing, so I know that it's not used for something in my game, and then also inject this. Cool. And also delete this. All done. Sure. Not hard at all. Okay, let's go with a capture katana. Let's buy it and mess around with it and see what happens. You obtained battle arena. Let's thing have blah, blah blah. You go here. In order to fight monsters, you'll have to capture creatures from around the world. Capturing a single monster will allow you to fight them here. Capturing more enemies will unlock harder and more customized creatures to battle. Fight regular monsters, fight mega bosses, and don't fight anything. If we say don't fight anything, we keep it. Enter the arena. We fight regular monsters, and it locks up. So the hidden choice, it's trying to show the choices right now, but it has no choice to show because everything is off. So what I'll have to do is inside the common events where I'm hiding these choices, I'm putting in a show choice of a bunch of things. If you want to fight this, if you want to fight this, if you want to fight this, do you want to fight that? And this shows you the number of the monsters that you've captured, right? So you press a button and it shows you. I remember that. Okay. And also in the status, not the status core, but the active variables plugin, the extension to the status core, you can see how many of each of these creatures you've captured. I'm trying to implement a mechanic that can get as close to hack and slash as possible. Take Stardew Valley, for example, but I guess I'd want to simplify it more.
Stardew Valley's hack and slash is not that great.
Okay, so it's not like you're not using troops and you're not using scene battle. You're using like a Zelda-style attack, right? Okay. Well, I mean, you've got a lot going on if you're doing a Zelda-style attack inside of MV, so I can't just show you how to do that because there's a lot of things that are happening already. But yeah, it's possible for sure. Shiny Blue Dragon, you could do something like that. You know, if it switches on when you swing, if you have a collision box, if you're using collision boxes or however you're doing that. Do you already have your battle system? You're asking a very specific question for like how far are you already? Can you like make a GIF and put it in the Discord so we can see like an idea? Did you ever take interest in Unreal Engine 4? I looked at it. Unreal looks great. Doesn't Unreal use C++? I actually took a C++ class in college. And it was great. It was fun. But this was 2003. So lots changed. And I didn't learn very much, to be honest. Even though I passed it. But what I did learn in that class was all the confusion where, like, how does it work? It's just like magic. No, you have lines of code that are interpreted from that a person can interpret, and then it's converted through a compiler into series of code that a machine understands, basically turns it all into ones and zeros, and then you have a builder that actually builds an application with that code, and the machine will do what it's told. And unfortunately, it will do no more and no less to what it's told. So, like, that whole idea of how it works was something I learned in college. So that was very instrumental in just like understanding how to use engines and when you press the play button, what happens. At that time, the only engine I knew of was RPG Maker, which is, I think, XP at the time. I think, obviously, 2003 was a new thing at the time. But I didn't find out about 2003 until later. I was still using, I think, XP. Was XP before or after 2003? I can't remember now.
I have no idea.
I think it was before, wasn't it before? Because you had 2003 and then you had VX. I should know this. I'm going to say RPG Maker version history. Why do I remember XP? Okay. XP came out after 2003. So it was 95! Okay, I was using 95. I remember 95. So there was RPG Maker 2000 at that time. But I remember 95. In some form or another, and we're talking pirated versions even, I've played all of these engines. I don't recommend you pirate, but like if you have if you're definitely not going to have the money to purchase an engine, you know, and you would have otherwise never purchased it, you could get an older version of RPG Maker. I'm not condoning it or even suggesting it. I'm just saying that like it wouldn't translate into a purchase. Not every act of piracy is stealing the purchase, because there are worse things than pirating nowadays. Buying a key like at a discounted price from a certain reseller, from several resellers, is worse than piracy. And I would definitely not pirate MV, because MV has it just doesn't work. It's broken. The pirated version of MV does not work. I've had people ask me, how come this project doesn't work? And I've used TeamViewer and looked at their project, and I'm like, 30 minutes goes by, I've tried everything, this should be working, I do not understand why it's not working, and then I have now I ask it immediately, do you have a pirated version, or is this a legit version? And every time that it just doesn't work is because they have a pirated version. I'm like, I don't have money right now, well that's fine. Use an older version where the pirated version actually works, but don't steal MV, because it just doesn't work. You'll be like, how come the switch isn't turning on? I don't understand. This event is set up perfectly. It's an illegal version, and it's set up some way that it's not. You guys don't see what I'm looking at, but I'm scrolling through here, reading through these things. So 95, then 2000, 2003, XP. I played a lot with XP. I think that's where I got a lot of my time in XP. 2003 was fun, though. I love 2003 because of the side view battle system. Right there. VX.
I bought MV as soon as I saw MV, I bought it, and I didn't even wait for a sale. I paid $80 for it.
Oh, I'm talking about previous versions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it when I saw Yanfly's video on action sequencing. I was like, pre-order. And I don't pre-order anything, guys, so it was like...
I had no clue that there was actually software out there that made it so you could make your own video game. And the first time I discovered that was with MV, so I immediately bought it. And here's the thing, though. A week later, it went on sale for $20.
You know what you could have done, though, is they have a program with Steam that if you buy a game and it immediately goes on sale, you can refund it, or they can send you the difference in price.
I didn't buy it on Steam, though.
Oh.
I bought it off of the website.
Okay, I don't know then. That's different.
Yeah.
It's different. Steam has a return thing. If you play it less than 2 hours, then you can refund it.
Yeah.
And any game. And if you... there's another thing. If you have... I think you have to have it less than 2 days, and you have to play it less than 2 hours. And then you can refund it. So it behooves you to make your game longer than 2 hours. Otherwise, most likely, people can buy your game, completely play it and beat it, and then refund it. Not everyone's going to do that. Very few people will actually do that. But I'd say 5% of people will do that.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like the one that I got off of the website, though, because you can run it. Right now I'm running the standalone version in 1.4.0, 1.1, and I run the Steam version because it comes with a Steam key. 1.6.1.
So you run Steam and the
standalone.
standalone version, and you bought it from where did you buy it?
The forums.
You bought it from the source.
Yeah, the website.
You bought it from the original source, and then it came with the Steam key?
It comes with a Steam key.
Does it still do that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So if you want to get it on Steam, you could just buy it off of RPG Maker Web Forum, and you'll also get a Steam key for that.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
You can run 2 different versions. So before all the plugins broke,
right.
I have a version for that, and then I have a version for after all the plugins broke.
I remember my Everything is on Fire video.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to mess around with Game Maker Studio for a little while, at least until they patch this stuff out. Everything is burning! Remember when you would load your project, and if it would automatically update it to that version and break stuff?
Yes.
That was a nightmare.
That was a nightmare.
But luckily we had backups, and we reverted projects. And
that's another good thing about buying the standalone version. You have to update it manually. It doesn't just do it on its own.
So when there's an update, you have to go through the effort of manually updating it.
Yes.
So if you don't want to do that, it doesn't just happen automatically. I mean, in Steam, you can disable that. All you have to do inside of your Steam to turn that off. This is another thing that we should probably show. Inside Steam, not the store, let's go to software here. Inside of Steam, if you go to RPG Maker and you right click it and go to properties, you can go to updates, and where you see automatic updates, you can turn this off. So you don't have to have it update automatically. So you can say only update when I launch it, or where does it say? Always keep this application up to date. Can't you just toggle off? It used to have.
I don't think you can anymore, which is kind of ridiculous.
What?
Yeah.
It used to have it. It used to say do not automatically update. Now it's just going to automatically update on Steam. So I guess it's smart to buy it from the RPG Maker Web Forums.
I don't regret it.
Right, because you still have the Steam version that automatically updates, and you have another copy that, in case this copy breaks.
And they're completely independent of each other. They're in different places on the hard drive, and like 2 different softwares.
Right, and that's interesting because you pay the same amount, but you have two copies of it.
Yep.
Because a lot of people don't realize that when you ask what project of the game that they're running, they'll tell you, oh, my engine is 1.62, but there's a difference. Your project is not the same as your engine.
Right.
So you have your IDE number, your IDE version, which you can go to Help and go to About, and you see that the IDE interactive development environment, which is your engine, has its own version, which can be different to your game's project version. So your game's project version has to be updated with the engine manually if you want to do that.
Well, at least since 1.5, it does.
Yeah,
Usually.
right.
Usually. Surprisingly, my project that I did for the 2017 IGMC runs on 1.6 without being updated.
And you've test ran the whole game?
I have test ran it. It seems to work.
It doesn't crash?
I didn't play it from beginning to end.
Did you do a continue?
I think I should.
You should start from the beginning.
Yeah.
But you're remaking it.
Yeah, I'm just remaking it from the ground up.
She's got some beautiful maps, guys. I can't wait for you guys to see Understood when she finally is happy with releasing it. That'll be your first Steam game, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's so good. She's using Tile D, which to me is really, really complicated.
It is complicated.
Tile D is just like, it's so cool, but so hard at the same time.
The hardest thing is figuring out where to save the files and what file types to save of which thing. That's the complicated part. Once you get that down, it's pretty easy. But I still mess things up. Like, I ruined one of my maps just the other day. The stream was all jank, and I had to go through and erase the tile set and put it back on and redo the stream, and it can be very confusing.
Yeah. Doc is saying your voice is really quiet. It's because she's sitting over by her computer, but the microphones are by my computer, so I keep turning it.
I don't talk loud enough anyways.
Yeah, we can move this. I guess you're part of the conversation here, Scooch. Do some scooching. People want to hear what you have to say. You're knowledgeable. Yeah, I'm not ignoring the chat here. Let's see what's going on. Can someone please post the Discord? Yep, we got that. We got that.
So somebody said you can switch off automatic updates in the beta. Is that what you guys are saying?
Yeah, so let's try. Let's see. We go here to properties, and then we click on beta. See, right now it says none opt out of all beta programs because there's nothing to select. But if we put in a code and check code, it could put us in for a beta. Mm-hmm. So that's not here.
Right, yeah, I don't see the option.
But when they push an update, you know, after the beta testers have approved it or whatever, it should be right here.
Oh, we have some thunder.
Oh, yeah. If we go offline, it's because the thunderstorm is coming. Anyway, I could have sworn last year or whenever the last time I was really checking on this stuff, there was a do not allow automatic updates
I think
option
there was
under
too.
Steam.
Yeah.
So that's something.
I am so, like, I update my computer now, but for like 12, 13 years, every time I got a new computer, I would break Microsoft updates. You know, because they make it hard for you to do, but there's always a way to do it. You have to do some weird stuff. The last laptop I had, I killed Cortana. She was dead until my laptop died. But this one gets updates. So far it's been okay.
I always update my Windows. I mean, it's so easy to find and exploit a vulnerability, and they purposely put vulnerabilities in, but I update it. When it says time to do a restart, I huff and puff, and then I just click OK, restart, do the thing. They have added a couple cool things. Like, one thing I really liked was when you press the Windows key, Shift, and S, you can, like, click and drag and take a picture of something.
Yes, that is really cool.
And then you can go into, like, Discord or something and pop that down.
Just put a random picture.
Control V,
yeah.
And then boom, you can just go like that.
Yeah, that's a really, really good feature. I like that. Before you'd have to print screen and then open some type of image manipulator or something that you could cut the image or crop the image, and then sometimes you'd have to save it, upload it.
Yeah, and I remember an application I used, I forgot it was something push.net or something, where you would have a little application running that would do something similar to that, but whenever you took something copied to your clipboard, it would upload it automatically and then give you a link. You click to get a link, and so you can share a link with people. They can click on it and open up a little PNG file or a little JPEG. But it's so much easier just to do it by copying to the clipboard and pasting it somewhere. You can paste it in GIMP, paste it in Photoshop, paste it in Discord.
You know, and side note here, for those who do web design and you need a place to host images for websites or applications, Discord is a wonderful place to do that. You can just have a chat with yourself or a chat with a friend and throw a picture in there. And it seems, I don't think they delete history. I haven't seen them delete history
No, we
yet.
can scroll back until the first message we sent to each other.
And it creates a link so you can host it on your website right from Discord.
Doc says he got a new rig. Remember when Doc Weeze was playing Path of Exile with us and he kept lagging out?
Oh, yeah. You should play with us again.
Yeah, we play every now and then. But RIM World still runs bad.
Oh, that's bad.
Oh, well. Hopefully you didn't pay too much for it.
Throw a little more memory in there. I did that not too long ago and it made a big difference.
You went from 8 to 32 gigs.
Yeah. It's expensive, but
I have
it was
48 gigs, but I don't need that much. I bought 32 because I didn't know if my 16 that I was using was going to work with it, and I wanted 32. And so it actually worked fine after I had to flash the BIOS though. But after I flashed the BIOS and updated the motherboard, it identified the new 32 gigs. So I went from 16 gigs to 48 gigs. Completely unnecessary, but it's nice when you're editing videos.
Hey, you never know, you might use it someday.
Yeah, when I'm editing videos, at the same time Audacity's running for cleaning audio at the same time. You can't have that happening at the same time because your processor is going to burn up. But you can have them open inactively doing things, taking up your random access memory.
Mm-hmm. Boro B, our Discord is family friendly, so if your picture is not family friendly, I would skip it.
Yes, and you also have to be added as a member. Like, so when you first join, your name is going to be white. It's going to be a white font, and then you can't do anything. But as soon as we every day we scroll through the list, like right here, Paradigm Shift, I see you. I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna give you the role of member, and now you can post pictures and links and stuff. So it's only for like the first day or even the first 5 minutes that you can't post pictures and stuff. So yeah, you can now. You just have to be added as member. This is just so that if someone makes a bot and adds a bunch of members or spams or like, it's not going to stop your server from getting like hacked or abused in certain ways, but it certainly does help a little bit. People can't just make a new account, join the server for free, and then spew vitriol.
But no nudie pics.
Yeah, keep it family friendly, or you'll get banned. It's got to follow all of Discord's terms of service. The pictures will be family friendly, but Boros says the content of my game won't.
Oh, yeah, well, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with making that because there's certainly an audience for that. But you just gotta. You can't just post it everywhere. You gotta let people find that, right? You advertise your game, but you don't want to advertise, obviously to minors. So yeah, that's working fine, but when the list loads, it doesn't. So I have to reorganize the show text here for this. What game are you playing over there?
I'm playing a really ancient game from like 1999 called Nitrous Oxide.
Oh, it looks cool. It looks
it's
very
a lot of fun.
arcadey.
It is. It's very arcadey. I believe when you die, you go back to level 1. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I heard about the FIFA thing. I watched Jim Sterling. So I suppose what I should do is copy all of this. This is what I'm going to do. Before I change this out, I'm going to copy this to 70. Actually, I'll just copy it like this. Boom. And what I'll do is I have a backup of everything before I've made my changes, so I can always revert to it on this common event. But I'm going to go in here and start chopping up the code of this arena event. Because I disabled HemiWorks' show choice, show and hide choice. I removed HemiWorks' large choices, HemiWorks' hidden choices, all those plugins from HemiWorks. Now I'm going to put this together with Yanfly's version of hiding choices. So if anyone remembers off the top of their head, the Yanfly plugin that lets you hide certain options on a show choice so that you can put in 6 choices or 12 choices and then they don't show up if certain switches are off or on, then I'll need to do that. So I probably have to add a new plugin. I'm going to hop over to yanfly.mo. And at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I really like the wiki. But after using it a little bit, I do like the wiki in comparison to like a what was the other hosting? I used the same one, so I should know. Great, good work, brain.
It failed you.
WordPress, that's the word. WordPress website, yeah. So WordPress, it runs fast, but it's a little more clunky, a lot more clunky. Especially in the back ends. Anyway, I like Yanfly's new wiki page. I didn't at first though. That's what I was getting at. Like, I was like, oh, I don't know where stuff's at. What is all of this? But like now, it's fine. I want to search though. I'm gonna go ahead and just use a search and type in show choice and see what pops up. Extended message pack. Main menu variable window, item rename, taunt, message backlog, card game, action. Let's go with the message pack one and see what this is real quick. I don't want to play a video on my live stream because that's copyright infringement. This extended message pack. Following plugins are required in order to use this plugin. Message core. We're using message core. Extends the amount of things the message system can do. Window options, face index control, hex colors, extended choice controls. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Letters, sounds. This is cool too. Message position. This is like Galv's message styles plugin. Can change the position of the window. Very convenient. I'm looking for if it has the functionality that I need it to do. Because I'm not about just adding plugins to add them. Although I throw in a lot of Yanfly's plugins just because I know that they're most likely not going to break the game, and I could always shut them off. I'm looking for a plugin command or a hide choice. There we go. Okay. So choice settings, and I could probably use lunatic mode to run a script and hide choice 5. So I make a condition that says if this, then if this switch is off, or if this variable is less than 0, then hide choice 5. But see, this is for a plugin command. Then I'll just do it in game. If this variable is greater than this, then plugin command. Yeah, so I need this plugin. I've determined this is the replacement for 2 to 3 year old plugins that no longer work, that I've disabled, but I've relied on their functionality for a system to work. So yeah, let's get this plugin from Yanfly. Take me to the downloads, please. And I will download Extended Message Pack 1. Okay, let me show this in the folder. Close this. Press Control. I'm going to cut this real quick. And close this. And we'll put this back over here. Yada yada. In fact, I can close that for now. Game, open folder. I'll go to the JS plugins. Paste this in here. Apparently, I already have it in here. So let's replace this file to make sure it's up to date anyway. Replace it. And then add it into the manager. Plugin manager. Extended Message Pack 1. Hey, guess what? I'm already using it. Great. But at least I know it's up to date now. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years since I've had to look at this system, so. That wasn't a total waste because I was mainly looking through the functionality. And here I have hide choice. So what I'll do is take this plugin command, hide choice, and manually change the conditions inside this thing. So what I'll do, instead of running a script like this, I'll probably have a lot of conditionals in here. But it's what I gotta do to make it work right. So I will take choice 1 is if game variable's value, if variable 201 is less than 1. So where would I hide the choice? Before the show choices, right? So I do show choices, and then before the choice appears, I put it here, I believe, but we'll find out. So I'll make a conditional branch that checks a variable of 201. I think I named these appropriately. Yes. So if this is less than 1. And we don't need an else handler. All we have to do is make a plugin command here that says hide choice 1. And I'm going to copy this thing here, paste it in, and set this up to be the next thing, because I think I put them in order. So if this one is less than 1, then I hide choice 2. Did I put them in order? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way in order, perfectly set up for this to be an easy process when I change it. Did I have foresight for that? Probably just thought, probably an OCD thing. They gotta be numbered in the one after another, but it plays in my favor here. So I can copy this and paste this and just change the choices, which Urich would be 1, and then the jellyfish. Okay, perfect. So all I have to do now is change this variable to the next variable, and then change the choice number to the next incremental value of 1, and then copy paste. So I can kind of mindlessly do this until I run out of variables that I've set up as capture values. So a little bit of monotony in here, but once this is set up, it may not just crash the game, right? Like, you see how it froze when we said show choices. Make capture 12. Oh no, I skipped 12 for some reason. But that's fine. It's still set up the same way. It's just I used a different variable for something else. I still go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5th choice should be a jungle fly trap, double checking because of the discrepancy there. 1, 2, 3, 4, jungle fly trap. Okay, it's on track. Copy this, paste this, change this to the next iteration, and then change this, my choice to 6. Copy this, paste this, jungle hornet, my choice 7. Copy this, paste this to this. So this kind of goes to show that just because the plugin you're using doesn't work for the particular thing you're working with, or it's not compatible with another plugin, does not necessarily mean that you have to abandon your idea, because a lot of plugins out there have like functionality overlap, where just because one plugin says it's going to do this thing but it doesn't work with your game doesn't mean that you can't have it. You just got to find a plugin that does that thing and is compatible. Making a mistake in a system like this would take a long time to find, so I'm kind of focusing on it, and I'm going to read the chat after I get these conditions set up. Just give me a second, we're almost there. What are you guys listening today? Some more weeb stuff? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not making fun of weeb music. I like to listen to anime metal and lots of video game instrumental stuff. Okay, so double checking that the ice bat is at the end of this list. It is, so I think they're all set up properly. So I mean, so if it shows you the choice, then it's going to give you the option to do it. And if you win, then you get tokens. If you escape or lose, you get nothing. So you buy an emblem, you consume the emblem to show the choice to get in to pick a creature, and then if you win, you get tokens. But it consumes the emblem, so you have to buy the emblem. So you're essentially turning 100 coins into 3 tokens. The tokens are used to buy powerful gear. To unlock more choices, you capture more monsters. So one thing I have to do is maybe start the game by letting the player fight, like say that they've captured a couple of monsters already, like that the arena has already captured a few monsters so that it shows a choice, like maybe just turn on the value of Uruk and Sewer Jelly and Sewer Rat to be, or like 4. Let's put on 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, so that when we open the menu, it's not like all these are 0, so there's nothing to show, there's no show choices, and that could cause a problem too. So we're referencing 71 here, and I've updated that to not use HemiWorks plugin, but instead use Extended Message Pack 1. Let me check the chat real quick and see what's going on here. Shiny Blue Dragon's got a whole page, a whole book for me to read here. Not a bad thing. He's engaged. I like that. That's good. Okay, so Shiny Dragon's ideas about doing the instantly killing creatures in Stardew Valley / Zelda style of combat. It's all conceptual at this point, so you just kind of figure out what you'd want to do. I honestly, though, Shiny Blue, if you want to make some kind of system like that where you're trying to do a Zelda type of game, I've seen them just... even good games have clunky battle systems in RPG Maker. Just do it in GMS too. Like if you're serious and you want it to feel like Stardew Valley, you want it to feel like a Zelda type of attack combat where you have this collision box thing, don't do it in RPG Maker. There's nothing wrong with going and using another engine if the type of game that you're creating, it will be easier to do in another engine. You'll have to come up with a lot of assets, and you won't be able to use RPG Maker assets inside of GMS2. So yeah, you have to find and locate your resources. But for like the core structure of your combat, the biggest selling point is probably the flow of the gameplay. You can put all this work in and still have a clunky battle system that's not fun and won't feel that great in MV. Now, can you do it in MV? Absolutely. I've seen it done right, but most of the time it's just hard to make it fun. In my opinion, it's easier to do a fun combat system, Zelda style, in GMS2. Not to dissuade you from using RPG Maker, but maybe to talk about. Whoa, that's crazy, babe. That looks fantastic.
Did I fix it?
You should take a Windows key Shift S of that and put it in Discord, in its unfinished version. So this is some Tile D stuff for you. You bought these off a Japanese website, didn't you? The tile sets.
Yes, but they are available on the RPG Maker website.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Building Something Pack, and what you're supposed to do is just take the entire building and plop it on your map.
Yeah, but
instead
you didn't do
I butchered
that.
it. And
Yeah,
made
you
it
put it in GIMP and took it apart and moved stuff around so that it looks different.
That way I can make my own building.
Yeah, and that looks... I remember yesterday you showing me one of these, and we were both talking like, hey, it looks like it's flat billboard looking thing. But this one, you've got like this balcony area, this platform, where it feels like it looks different and it looks great now. So that looks fantastic in my opinion. Yesterday's edition of it needed some work, and today's looks a lot better.
Yeah, I could do it before and after, actually.
No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Nobody wants to see that. Just use the
Nobody
now.
wants to see the flat
Yeah,
castle.
you don't want to see that. Eventually, says Shiny Blue Dragon, I want to set up mechanics around that mechanic that will boost your overall hunger capacity or a hunger drop resistance. You're talking very, very hypothetical. You should probably just jump into a project and try to get something before you get overwhelmed with these ideas, because a lot will happen is, what can happen is, you get so dead set on, I want it to be like this, I want it to be like that, and you're going to encounter bugs, and what you have to do is turn those bugs into features, and sometimes that means compromising your original idea of how you thought it's supposed to be, but you can still put out a fun game. just don't get too dead set on this is how it has to operate, and it's, I want this system to work like this. And you can, you know, bang your head against the keyboard to make it work like that, but what I'm saying is you just got to jump into the engine and start putting stuff together, and then you can get an idea of what's possible. But good suggestions and ideas, Shiny Blue Dragon. Very, very game devy of you. But thoughts and ideas. There's a saying. It's all about the execution, right? So it's ideas are cheap. Execution is expensive. So you can have the best ideas. Chances are that 10 people thought of that same idea. They just never executed it in the way that it was originally designed or thought of. So work on that execution. It's about that flexecution. Okay, so we need to test this now. It might still have a problem where it's trying to show a choice with none of the choices being available, like with all of the choices being hidden, and then it doesn't know what to do with that. I'm assuming there's a failsafe in the Yanfly's plugin that'll just get past it. Obviously, Jaime Works' version throws the game, but it's 2.5 years old. You can't expect these plugins to work after 2.5 years, unless the dev is like actively working hard to make it so that it is. Okay, let's get a token, and let's see what shows up on the list. None of the things have been captured. Fight regular monsters. Oh, here's your failsafe. An option comes up that says none, so it lets you escape.
Nice.
So, oh, but then we have another issue. It brings up this thing. Would you like to use your token, Arena? And it has a thing that you can't escape from. So it's still game breaking at this point. I wonder though. Oh, because what's happening is when you select none, when you open it, it takes away your item for interacting with it. And I need to change that around so that it doesn't consume the item upon using it. Okay, let's look at this event real quick. We don't want to take the item away here. We don't need to. Just have it open up the. We've already checked to see if they have it, and if they don't, it says they need to have it. So we know they have it. We don't have to take it here. What we can do is take the item away when they select something. Because what's happening is they're selecting none, and they're losing their item. Also, we're having to add that item back when they cancel out. So that's a problem. So let's see where we're adding that item back. Like if they cancel out. When none. Oh wait, I must have put in the option of none. So when we put in the option of none, it gives it back. And we don't need to give it back here, and we don't need to give it back here because we're not taking it, we're making sure they have it. So once we start the battle, or right before we start the battle, we can remove that item. Of course, I think I did it earlier because I didn't want to have this redundancy. But I'm just wondering if that's causing it to do the thing. Because what happens next is, when I talk to the event the second time, it just went like, would you like to use your token to enter the arena? And then the choices were blank. Why did the choice? Oh, because the choices are being hidden until they're told to be shown. The plugin is doing that. Okay, I need to go back. The reason why I'm taking the item early, before you start the battle, is because I want to eliminate redundancy. So I wish I could just undo, but I can't. So what I'll do is go back in here and say, when they say yes, we're going to take the item. Let's control items, change items, and remove, decrease, battle arena token. I hope I remember what I actually called it. I have so many items in this project. Arena tokens. No, not tokens. Was it tokens? It was the emblem. So take away the emblem, and then call the common event. Now, in the common event, when I select none, I need to change and give that item back. Be like, okay, well, we took your item to enter this menu, but you've selected none. That option was hidden, so that's why I never told it to stop hiding choice 1. So I have to just do another plugin command and show it again afterwards. Not a big deal. So arena battle emblem increased by 1. We're going to give it back. There's another instance where I gave the emblem back. So when they say none, where was the other instance that I took? I do have this recorded, so I mean, worst case scenario, I look back on the recording to figure out where I removed it. Oh, when I also say something like regular monsters. Oh, right here. Boom. So when we are presented with the option to pick our monster type, do you want to do regular monsters, mega bosses, fight? These two do nothing, but we've already consumed the battle emblem. So if we run the do nothing code or event here, and nothing happens, you don't want the player to be just down 100 gold for having to buy the emblem again. So I give it back when you say don't start a fight or mega bosses, which it doesn't exist yet, and when you say I don't want to fight anything, I change my mind, you get your emblem back. Okay, so I fixed that, but what I need to do is go into the plugin, the message core extended message pack, and find the plugin command that shows choice. It's probably like show choice with capital S and capital C and then a number. But it's not. It is, okay, it is. Show choice. It is. It's exactly that. But I just want to make sure. So after this event ends, at the bottom, no matter what happens, I have to show all of these choices, because when I say fight regular monsters, it's going to hide them. So let me make sure this is right. When I go to this option, and I'm presented with the choice of regular monsters, fight mega bosses, or don't fight anything, I'm hiding the choices for the regular monsters. So what happens if I do mega bosses? I'll just add new variables. I just do new variables easy, so I do it all there. And then at the very end of this event, no matter what, once this event has ran, so right here, if I put it here, then it will return all of those choices. So I'm going to make a conditional branch. Actually, no, I don't need to do a conditional branch, right? I just run a plugin command that turns them all back on, no matter what, because then I'll just say hide those choices again afterwards. The problem is when because I have this list of mega bosses, and choice 1 will be different. We'll have a choice 1, that's these Uriks, and a choice 1, which will be these dudes, whatever I put for the mega bosses. So the system will break later on unless I change it now. So all of these if and then plugin command needs to be in a different spot. So I'm going to cut these out, and I'm going to put them for when we say fight regular monsters. Right? I think that's right. So when the player says, I want to fight regular monsters, then it does the choices. Hides choice 1 to choice 17. And then it presents the choices. It hides them conditionally based on if we've captured them or not. And then, at the end of it, no matter what happens, we go to the end of those 17 choices, not at the end of the event, in fact, at the end of the event, because no matter what, I'm going to want to turn them all back on Otherwise, there would be redundancy at the end. So here, I do a plugin command that just shows all 17 choices. Considering there will only be 17, I'll put up to 17. And if I add more choices, I'll enable those. So I do a show choice 1. Copy this, paste, and change it. Where did I put that? What's going on here? Apply this. Okay. So copy this, paste this. Okay, I got a little text scroll bug. This will fix it though. Modify this to 2. Now it's fixed. Okay, copy, paste this. Show choice 3. And we'll just put these on up to 17. See, this is new stuff because I've always used HemiWorks when I had to do this system before. But this is like, it's fine. Every plugin has its own like things you have to learn how to do. I think what helps me too is I talk to myself. If I'm not live streaming, I sound like a crazy person, so live streaming makes this a lot, I think by live streaming my progress, my work on a project, makes me sound more normal than I would normally sound.
No, you don't sound crazy at all.
A lot of the times I'll be working on something and I'm talking to myself and T will keep going, huh? She thinks like everything I say is, sometimes she thinks I'm talking to her when I'm just talking. That doesn't make you crazy. Come on. You should talk to yourself.
Or he gets me laughing.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
One to 17. And so now if I talk to this person again after disabling the choices, it should show me none. And then when I select none and I talk to him again, it should show the 3 choices, regular monsters, mega bosses, and return. See, what happens is, it doesn't crash the game, but it does lock up the game. I did the wrong thing. Oops, let me restart. It locks up the game because you are presented with the option to show a choice without the option of canceling, but you have no choices because they are all hidden. So because I've disallowed canceling, like you actually have to check something, it freezes it, which I can get out. I can change that. But I know how to get around it. It's just to allow some things to be fought. So, welcome to the arena. What do you want to fight? Let's fight regular monsters. And we're presented with none because, you know, well, we haven't captured anything. And if we say mega bosses, nothing happens. Let's say fight regular monsters and it's none. But it doesn't, now we know it's not hiding. We've pressed the fight regular monsters, which enters the branch that hides 17 choices. But then the event goes to the bottom, and we're selecting none, and the common event ends at that point. And at that point, it also re-enables all 17 of those choices. So what I want to do is give the player a few creatures that they can fight with from the start. So when we enter here, what I'll do with an auto run, or you know what, with the initialization process, back on the very first map, our intro map, where I have our intro, you can see we're controlling a ton of variables. This is initialization that's going on here. So I'm going to do some more initialization by controlling more variables so that we're going to say we've captured one Uruk, and we've captured a sewer jelly. And we've captured, what do you think, 4 creatures? That's probably good. 4 of the 17 are automatically unlocked, but then more stuff unlocks if you've captured 10 or more of them. So just because you've unlocked an Uruk doesn't mean you don't need to go capture them. If you go capture 9 more of them, then I'll have to design it, but you can fight a super mutant Uruk, and it's a super strong version of it. But now that we've initialized those 4 variables, those conditions that hide those choices shouldn't be there, or they shouldn't be hidden. Those plugin commands won't be ran. Hence, the choices will be there, and we'll be able to start a battle and actually use the arena without. Otherwise, it looks like there's nothing under the hood. Like the system looks like there's nothing under the hood yet. So now we talk to this guy. We've already got the emblem. We go here. We use the emblem. We fight regular monsters. It still shows none. So there's something going on here. Oh, well, here's the thing. I didn't initialize these. I'm loading a save. So in that save game, they're not initialized. You would have to do a new game to have that initialization process, obviously. So in order to get around that, what I'll do is just turn those on in a debug. So let me load file 9 and go over there and initialize those variables and then save it on file 10 because we keep wasting time walking across this map. So I'll go here, hit the debug, go to, not switch, should have went up to the variables. It's fine, doesn't matter. And I'll set this to 1, left and right, and this one, this one, this one. That's what I would set with the initialization. So we've set that. Now let's save the changes to file 10, and we walk up here, and we should have some options presented. So we get our token, our emblem, and we use our emblem, and we say fight the monsters. We're presented with Uruk, Sewer Jellies, Sewer Rat, and Sewer Bat. What happens when we fight them? Animation, sound effects, we start a battle, and now we're fighting a different version of the Uruk, who has been scaled up using the level system, enemy levels. But it still should be easier than when you first encountered them, especially because you're fighting them with just Arcturus. And we've beat him in the arena. Congratulations on your victory. You've been awarded 3 arena tokens, and we get an animation. Item, where is this set to? They are set to key items, and they're red font. So we have these tokens. You get 100 of these tokens, and you can hire a mercenary to come work for you, which is a whole other system that I'll work on after we get the arena set up right. So far, it's looking really good. It's basically usable. The problem is I need to double check and make sure that you're able to capture creatures. So let's go ahead, visit this guy, and buy a capture katana. Okay, and we will equip Driftwood with a capture katana. In fact, at this point in the game, it's an upgrade, because I've skipped the upgrades on this kind of rushed speedrun save file. So I'm going, wait, these creatures are not on the captured list, so I won't be able to test that here. I'll sort of have to cheat my way. Yep, I gotta cheat my way. I'm holding Alt to walk through tiles that you would normally not be able to walk through. But I've specified what regions I can encounter creatures on the world map, so I should be able to encounter creatures real soon here. I also need to double check the farming system I set up here, so there's still some really some things I need to look at before I push an update. It's not quite ready yet. So we're surprised by this guy. We should be able to capture this thing. So I'm just going to guard, and then this, so Driftwood will have to get the, do you see how his attack has been replaced with capture? That's not the best animation for it, but at least I can notice that it's working. We're using a weapon replace. So this is a Wildebeest. Does it work if I use a weapon skill on him? I don't think so. I have to kill him with the basic attack using the weapon replace. So So let's do a basic attack and see if we capture him. We keep missing. I'm going to speed it up here. So guard, attack. I should actually, instead of saying attack, I should use a weapon replace that says capture. Yeah, change attack to capture. You can see that I'm using like an unleash type of thing. But the thing I don't like is it still says attack. And so I want the, instead of using the weapon unleash, I'm still going to be using the weapon unleash and plugin, but instead of using a weapon unleash functionality, I'll use a weapon attack replace. So it'll just be an attack replace. So it still works, but let's see if it adjusts the variables appropriately. We've captured a wildebeest, and we're still awarded. It basically kills the creatures and gives you everything. But it should have changed a variable. So on the no, where's it at? Somewhere. Here we go. Why does toxic shroom start at -1? Why is that variable set to -1? I got a problem with one of these captures. But you can see it actually did add 1 to the wildebeest. So the capture system seems to be working. That's great. I don't have to really mess with too much of that. But I have an issue with variable capture 23 here. Let me see what's going on there. I don't think there's any simple way to check what's changing your variables. Somewhere along the game, something is making variable 200 and something -1.
Did you initialize it?
No, I don't need to initialize that because I don't want it to be captured. I can initialize it by just changing the variables here, but that's not. It should be 0 by default, and something's making it -1. And the variable that I'm talking about is, let's find it, 23. So 210, somewhere, some event, somehow, I'm using 210, or something's manipulating 210. Maybe I did that when I was moving stuff around in the debug, so it could have been that. I might have done that with the debug. Hopefully that's what it was, because I shouldn't be using that variable for anything except for the capture system. Anyway, let me do the change that I was thinking about. Changing the attack to say capture. So let me go to the skill. It definitely weapon unleashes and uses a skill called capture. So let me find where that's at. In fact, let's use the Control F function. Control F and type in capture. And boom, it's all the way at 250. So I'm glad I did that. It saved me some time. And we're using an action sequence here. Looks like a basic attack action sequence. But then we have a post-damage evaluation. This is probably a damage core function. Post-damage eval. So we're saying if the target's hit points is less than 0 and the target's enemy ID is 6, and it's not just it's actually the number 6, then we're going to manipulate a variable by creating variable x set to the value of variable 201. We're going to add the x, then we're going to set the value of 201 to the value of x, essentially just adding 1 to it. And then we're going to add a message, GameMessage.add, you've captured an Uruk. And then if, why does it do all of those? 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I know what it, oh, right. Okay, so if you use this skill on any of these, depending on what enemy it is, it changes a different variable and it tells you a different name. And so that's how I handled the you've captured something. I'm checking when the creature is killed with this skill to change a variable and show a message. And it's just a bunch of if statements using a post-damage eval. So this is checking after it's been hit, is the HP's, is it dead, basically? Is it less than 0 or equal to 0? And then it checks the ID and then tells you the variable and then the text depending on what ID it returns. And so that works. If I want to expand upon this and add more enemies, I essentially copy paste this if statement and change the enemy ID number and change the variable number and change the text. So simple and useful. But what I would like to do is, instead of having the capture sword create a weapon unleash function, so let's find the capture weapons. I think they're in here somewhere. Oh, I put it at okay, I see. Let's start with the one I was using, the capture great katana, or katana. So what it's doing here is it's saying weapon unleash 100% capture. So when you use an attack with this weapon, 100% of the time it will change your attack into a capture, which works perfectly, but I would like it to actually attack replace. So let me just make sure I do this correctly and go to my plugin help and go to Yanfei's weapon unleash and change, so not attack replace, but replace attack. Okay. So this works and weapon. So we know we can do that there. So instead of weapon unleash 100%, we're going to change that to say replace attack capture. And that's all we have to do for all of them. But I'm going to test it on just this one and see if it works right, because I want it to say capture, not attack. I think it'll just be a little more clear. So replace attack. Let's change this. So now the capture katana will replace your attack with capture, with the capture skill. Let's test it. In fact, I'm going to lower the price on all of these weapons. 5,000. I mean, they're equivalent to Mithril. They're weaker than Mithril for 3,000. So let's make them all 3,000. I'm going to do that change now to make them a little more accessible. To be honest, when I was designing all these harps, I'm like, I'm never going to use these harps. But I finally got the bard in from the work we did in the last week, and I'm super happy about that. Let's test to see when we attack, or when we're using a katana, the capture katana specifically, does it replace your attack with the word capture and then also use that skill capture? It should, but we'll double check. So view the goods. Let's buy the capture katana and put it on. We can essentially press equal sign at this point because it's an upgrade, and it'll put it on. So we have the capture katana. Let's just get into a battle with any creature. We're not going to even have to kill the creature. I just want to make sure that when you're using a capture weapon, and I use this, I'm just testing the changes before I assume. I'm assuming it's going to work, but whenever you do this, you also should just test it. There we go. So it says capture. So when you're using the capture weapons, your attack function thing, your attack command will not say attack, it will instead say capture. So now let's update the animation on it while we're at it. So that's good. Good progress. Let me catch up on chat. I don't want to. There could be some really good questions that I don't see. So let's see what's going on here. I had to make sure that I get some progress in the game, that's for sure. Thank you guys for coming in, by the way, and talking and interacting. It really means a lot. Wow, I have to scroll up quite a bit. You put the command before choices or it won't work, and it will work at the next choice after the previous choice. Yeah, I think we got that working. I prefer to go for disabled choice because it will be it will gray out the choice. That's not a bad idea, Epic, instead of just making it disappear. The problem is you're going to have to scroll through a list of 17 grayed out choices, and that might be annoying. He should buy another monitor for the chat. I have another monitor for the chat. The chat is, I'm reading it off my second monitor. When Drift is in the zone, it's hard to pull him out. Like I said, I kind of just want to, like, when at a certain point, I need to make sure that I get this done, especially when it clicks in my head. This is how I can do it. Boom, 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 do it. And then I interact and take feedback and stuff. I mean, I could sit here and chat in the text box with you guys for 2 hours straight, and then I'll get nothing done on my project. I try to do a good balance, right? I want to make you guys feel like I'm listening and I'm answering you guys, but I'm also working on my project so you can see what I'm doing, and then I can get feedback from you guys. Bethesda's reputation is damaged right now, says Boro. Solaris is also basically an RPG maker equivalent for Zelda maker. Solaris? That sounds familiar. Is that an engine? Have you heard of an engine called Solaris?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Is that on Steam? Let's go to featured. I hope Fantasy Grounds goes on sale soon. Gosh, I want Fantasy Grounds to sell. Solaris. I just don't want to pay $40 for it because there's so much DLC for it. Solaris. No, it's not that. For sure, it's not that. Zelda maker. Doc says, I'm worried all the people with the mindset have either left, been fired, about to leave with that mindset. Don't forget about Quasi's ABS. It's old but can work. Yeah, Quasi's ABS can work. That's true. There are some good plugins out there that can do the... I even have a little playlist of a few using Alpha ABS system. And they can work. You're right. Also, Mog Hunter has one that's kind of like Chrono Trigger-esque, which is kind of cool. Like I said, you can do it, but I haven't seen many people do it right, if you know what I'm saying. What I have seen is a lot of people take Mog Hunter's, what's it called, Chrono engine, and then basically copy-paste the entire thing and change very little, not even the resolution, nothing. And then they make their game with Mog Hunter's default stuff, and that's not impressive at all. You know, Mog Hunter did all the work there. I'm impressed with Mog Hunter's work, not with your taking the plugin and just putting a few different names on the creatures. What would be impressive is the correct use of those plugins, and to use them correctly, you have to understand a little bit how they work, especially when you change the resolution of your project. I dare you, do it. Go download Mog Hunter's thing, demo project for Chrono Engine, and change your game's resolution and see how it works. Then make that work, and I think you'll have a better understanding of how to do it right. But it's not as easy as it sounds, because all of the GUI elements are built for a specific resolution. So once you do that, you've got to change all of the GUI elements, which you should do anyway. That's why I say when you change the resolution, even by a little bit, you'll notice that they look off, they look wrong, which is good because you don't want to have to copy paste them and use them. Because those are Mog Hunters. Those aren't yours. You can, but it's not going to impress me. Mog Hunter impresses me. Constantly. Use disable choice command instead. Yeah, maybe I'll do that later. I'm going to keep it disabled choice because... I don't want the player to know exactly how many. Well, of course, that kind of defeats the purpose because I also show them in the status core all of the variables, so that's not a good enough reason. Right? I mean, I don't, but then at the same time, I want them to have some way to keep track of the ones they've caught. But I guess scrolling through a list of 17 grayed out options, technically 14 or 13 grayed out options, isn't It would feel clunky. It's an arbitrary thing. I've already done it with hide instead of disable, so I'll keep it that way. And if I feel like I need to change it, I'll change it. It's a good suggestion. Thank you. After you're hiding those choices, show the choices immediately. Right. So you guys are commenting on time for like fixes to the things that I'm encountering, and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry that I didn't look up quick enough to see that and respond, because it will affect all the choices you show afterwards. Yep, we've discovered that. Is there a reasonable way to reorganize your database without breaking every single event interacting with it? Short answer, Suzanne, not really. Like, without manually just going into every event that's referencing variable, because it's not necessarily working in a way that it's referencing a name of a variable. It's referencing a variable number. So the variable is just the names on your variables are only there to make it clear for what it is so that you can understand. The game doesn't care what the variable says. It could say like space peanuts, or it could say 1x573579. The game reads that as the same because it's only looking at the location. So if you want to like reorganize your what variables you're using or the items in your database, like for example, if you've got treasure chests littered all over your game, right? You got 100 treasure chests throughout your game, and you just for some reason want to organize your item database so that they all look better. Well, you're going to have a hard time making that really work, depending on how far into the game you already are. If you've got 100 chests, well, that means you're going to go through 100 chests and change the number of the item that's being awarded for every time you move that. One suggestion is keeping what you already have how it is, adding more to the JSON file by clicking, by like doing like this. You could go like this if it really kind of bothers you. You've got all of these and they're very randomized and everything. Say you would just copy paste the ones that you have and you keep them there. You're going to keep them there. And then you would go to the bottom where you have blank space and add more with change maximum if you need to. Put a straight line like this, where drop loot, it goes down right here or whatever. Put a straight line down like 300, 100, 200, 500, wherever, and then paste it there, and then start reorganizing them here, so that you're rebuilding your database numbers here, but you still have a backup to all of your numbers there. And then at some point, go through your events, little by little, and change the numbers from looking for the melon at 25 to looking for the melon at 325. Or wherever you moved it to. And once again, this is like a big twiddling my thumbs type of move. The best approach is to have an idea of how you want to organize your JSON file from the beginning. So I do this not in this project. You can see in my item database right here, it's sort of a mess, right? I do put some enchants and I make some space, so I kind of like knew I needed to try to organize a little bit. All of these types of potions are here, these primers are all in the same order, these types of potions are here, I put all the ores here, all the ingots here. But as I go on from project to project, every time I start working on a new project, I get better at conceptualizing where I'm going to put the items in the list of the database, as well as approximating appropriately so that I can allot enough space for ingots and gems and whatever we have here. So once you've already kind of like dug yourself in and you've got a messy database and you've got 100 events that are referencing those items, it's probably not worth your time to try to clean up the item database just for your own aesthetics, the developer's aesthetic. But it's up to you. You can do that, though. There's no easy way as far as I know. Maybe there is with some other database modification applications. I did see somebody working on, it was like a Twitter post like months ago, somebody has another way to read the JSON files that can like search through things differently. I didn't follow up on that, but it looked interesting. So maybe in the future, or maybe there's an application I'm unaware of that can help you with that process. But as far as I know, with what you're given, it'd be a nightmare. Just try to organize it right from the beginning. Great question, though. That was a very good question. So Zan 5. Lots of talk about Bethesda sucking, and I just have to say I agree. EA's worse, though. And Konami's up there with the worst. Eblisser, live streaming. The key to make talking to yourself a normal thing. It's so true. It's fine. You're not crazy. Got to go. Your shift is ending. Take care, Giuseppe. I'm sure that was like 5-10 minutes ago. Vanilla Skyrim did suck. I didn't like Vanilla Skyrim. Skyrim is awesome now because you can mod the crap out of it and just have so many crazy things happening in Skyrim that it's not even the same game, and there's some like complete overhaul mods that are amazing. So Skyrim is awesome now, but the original Vanilla Skyrim, it's lackluster. My favorite Elder Scrolls has to be the third one. Morrowind had something special. If I go back and play it, I'm like, oh my god, these graphics. But there was something special about it. Like, it was something cool about crafting your own potions that had all these different types of variable things that you can, like the numbers were randomized to a certain extent depending on the stuff you use. And the spells, you can craft your own spells that do different damage based on the components. And like, it was really fun for me, and I put a lot of hours into it back in the day. I don't know if I could play it anymore. I couldn't really play it for a long period of time. Maybe a good hour of nostalgia, but then... But anyway, if you've never played Morrowind, I don't know if it would be the same now, but it's definitely an interesting game, and I liked it a lot. There was something about the spell crafting and the potion crafting that really made me want to go back and be like, what if I try to do this again with this resource instead? What happens on this potion? And eventually you figure it out, and there's some cap to it, but it was fun. It was fun messing around with the types of spells you could create. Epic Mightyena is getting me back more on task, thank you. I suggest capture with the bind animation. It looks logical. That makes the most sense. Let's change that now. I'm almost caught up, though, I think. Can you make an RPG Maker MV game that allows modders to easily throw in mods? I don't know. Modders to... You would have to design your game. I mean, basically, you can mod anyone's RPG Maker game. Just unencrypt it, if it's encrypted, and copy paste a game.rpg project file in there. Load it in the engine. There's ways to encrypt stuff so that it's hard to mess with, but you can get into almost any game. And then just change it using the engine as if it was your project. I mean, it's possible. Replace attack. Yep, that's right. That's the one we used. We put a battle royale in Fallout 76. What a miserable excuse of a game. I'm sorry. The modders made Fallout what it was, and when they tried to make it an MMO, it just floundered, man. It was such a show. Not in a good way. What is his name? Wolven Game. How you doing, man? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for stopping by. The dark blue font was hard to read. It's not like we can pick our own fonts on the stream. That would be cool, though. Everybody would be using wingdings. LTML Scorpion says, hey, I played your Legend of Driftwood. It was fun and I enjoyed it. Awesome, that's great. Hopefully you'll play the new version when it comes out, and hopefully a few days. I know I've said that for the last week, but I've been working on it every day. And I put everything on the back burner so that I can, all the other projects on the back burner for this to get done. And we're getting close to the 1.62 update. We've got the capture, the arena system, which is almost ready to go. I need to add more to it so that some of the new creatures I created are capturable, and update the animation. And then I need to look at the hiring system, and I also need to look at the Lydia's farm area where make sure that all the variables are still working and the whole system isn't going to just crash the game. So a couple more core systems and features, and then it'll be ready to push an update. If someone tried to read my project files, says Vino, to manipulate them, they would get lost for centuries. My methods are madness without my notes. I always wonder how weak the encryption for MV is. It's not unbreakable. And I don't recommend that you try to encrypt your project using the MV's encryption. If you want to encrypt it, use a third-party encryption software. You could also just Enigma box, but you can break into an Enigma box too. You can encrypt your plugins using a certain method of encryption and the code for it, and then encrypt that using the game's encryption, and then deploy that with the encrypted deployment, and then encrypt that with a third-party encryption, and then Enigma box the final result. And then, but the thing is, all you're doing is someone really wants to get into it. You're just making them spend more time on it. Is it still impossible to get into? No. Is anybody going to get into it? Honestly, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're not going to spend their time. And even if you made it easier for them, hardly anybody's going to do that. So a little bit of barrier goes a long way. You put 600 hours into it, that's pretty good. That's not bad. Yeah, you can't expect to just... You can't just say, I'm going to finish this in this many hours. It never works that way. I'm going to place all my game files in a single server surrounded by internet lava, and you have to climb over couches and living room furniture to reach my game files. I don't understand how that works, Vino, but it sounds complicated. Okay, I think we're ready to do it now. Let's do the animation. I got caught up on chat. Thank you, Wolven Game. I appreciate that. If you like the 1.2 or 1.3 version of it, then you'll probably definitely like the 1.6 rendition. It's the same thing, but it's got a fresh spackle of paint, stretched out sprites, and more content. Let's You know what? I have hundreds, literally hundreds of animations that I've made from project to project. This is a project that will never get released, most likely, Dungeons of Driftwood. It became a huge overhaul after overhaul after overhaul, idea change after idea change project. But what it actually is a great sample project for resources I've made. And what I want to do is take some animations. Let's find a good one. Let's just scroll down and save animation. Here we go. Let's go to this one. Animation. And I've taken them from this project and put them into my other project. So let's just find something that'll work as a capture animation. I mean, I kind of like that one. Okay, I'm going to go with this one. Animation 420. Yo. We're going to call this one Capture. Let's make sure that these assets are here. Recovery 2, Sword 2, and Fire 7. Okay. And let's go to all of the weapon, no, the skill, just the skill, and change 441 capture to 465 capture. Nice. And so to add creatures to the list, I basically copy paste this if. So we've done the animation, we'll take a look at it in a minute, but I need to add some new enemy IDs. So, what numbers is it looking at when I use the skill? Get back into the nitty of it. This is for enemy ID 39 is the last one. So enemies 39, which would return this one. Right. And I've added new enemies somewhere. Didn't I put new enemies in here? Let's see. Where did I start them? This was the arena ones, which are all represented. They're different stats, actually. The arena ones, they haven't been modified. So the arena versions of the creatures, I'll have to go back through and take another look at. It's not as simple as just kind of typing in a number. This is the non-scalable versions. And then where did I add new creatures here? I started adding them here. Ice worm, hybrid moth, ice bat. So I made these creatures earlier, included them in the system, and never used them. So they actually are in the capture system already. It's fantastic. That's fantastic. I did change the numbers on these, I'm sure. So let's take the ice bat, for example. That's 39, and then this would be the arena version. 187. 60, 50, 55, 50, 65, 50. See the difference? I've scaled them differently. So, gosh, what's the best way to do this? I'm going to use a little tactic that may seem like a lot of work, but it's actually less work in the long run. So I kind of like the numbers that I've set my enemies up with now. And I've changed their growth rates. So what I'm going to do is T on our messages. Let's see. Do I have anything that I don't? Let me just go like this. Just the most recent setup. I'll check over here. Yeah, definitely don't want to show that stuff. So let's go like this. Oh God. Whoa there. Way too spicy. Enter the chill zone.
Hold on there, Tiger.
I just sent you like 15 notifications. Because I'm going to use T as my text.
You're gonna use me.
Yeah, you're going to get used right now as my note idea bouncer person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start taking pictures and putting them over on this side. In case I move them over, I want to have a little bit of buffer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to press the Windows key, the S, or the Shift, and then the S, and I'm going to go like this and take these stats, and then I'm going to paste them in here. Bam. And then I'm going to go to the next one, the next one, the next one, but I don't have them all capturable. So the ones that I know are capturable, go like this, and then I'm literally pressing like Control V. So I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm taking pictures of their stats, and then I'm putting them right there. Because what I need to do is update my copy of that enemy. Okay, I may have to explain this. Why do I need to have 2 copies of the enemy? Well, here's the scenario that can happen. You capture one enemy in the wild, and then you can fight that enemy in the arena. But why can't you just capture the enemy in the arena over and over and over? Well, you would be able to, using the method that I've designed. So to get around that, we keep the same enemy, but we use a different enemy ID. So we essentially copy-paste the enemy to another location, and so that if you try to capture this enemy, it doesn't match any of the IDs, even though it's a copy of the enemy that you already captured. So the code will look past it, and that's how you get around it, as far as I've seen. But when you make a change to your stats on your enemy, you have to change both of them, which I kind of neglected doing for a long time. So I have to do that. So instead of scrolling back and forth, trying to find them, I'll just take a picture of all of the enemies, which there's only 17 right now, in the arena. And then when I go down to my enemy arenas, my arena enemies, I can just look at the pictures, the pretty pictures, and see the numbers that I used there. So we fixed it. That's what we'll do. The sewer rat. So, honey, I am sorry for the spammage. I don't want to put this on, like, a channel, because then I'm going to spam everybody.
That's fine. I don't mind. Spam away.
Alright. Okay, I didn't need to copy that one. That's not a capturable creature. Besides, he needs to be fine-tuned a little bit anyway. Discord is awesome, guys. I don't know if I've told you that, but Discord is the bomb. It's so good as far as like a communication platform and a community building application. I definitely recommend you look in the description below and click on a link to join the Discord. And you could use Discord through your browser, but the application's pretty lightweight and it's really good. Recommend downloading their app. You can even put it on your phone if you wanted. Is the Cape Troll capturable? I don't know, but we'll just keep a picture of it anyway. Wow, the stats need to be looked at on so many of these creatures. Did I go through with a balance and adjust them properly? I wonder. I don't think I did on all of them. This isn't even the final version, but I've got to get them at least equal. They need to be equal. I'll also have to take a look at their node tags, one thing at a time. I can't actually capture Empire soldiers. We're not doing that. The rock turtle, I think, is a capturable creature. So we'll go like that. Also can design new items that you can steal from creatures once you've unlocked that ability through the arena. I'm going to load the save game after I get done with this little section and take a look at the variable that was at -1. And maybe I was just changing it when I was debugging it that one time, and that would be the issue. I'm not going to let the player capture skeletons. I don't know if I allowed werewolves to be captured. I don't know for sure on a lot of these. This is a boss. The piranha, I think, is capturable. I should also add a note tag that says capturable on it to remind me when I'm working on things. Chomper, these are not, but this one is. And this one is. This one is as well. Okay. Very grindy session of just changing stats. But that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll up to the Uruk, and I have it very conveniently set up over here. That's great. So I reduced HP. This goes to 25, 20, 15, 15, 20. So that's fine. Let's go down to the next one. The sewer jelly. I changed this to say 23 and reduced it to 500 here. The sewer rat. I changed HP to be 400. I just need them to match so that the one you capture is similar in strength to the one that you're fighting in the arena. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but I feel like that's something that should be. I guess this is an arbitrary thing that I want, the way I want it to work. So I'm just going to do that. Fly trap, 550. $25. And I didn't change anything else. 18, it's still the same. And the wildebeest is next, 600. I reduced his HP and increased his attack. And I went through and changed stats, as you should do periodically, just to fine-tune. Like, after you've played your game enough and you feel like it's too easy, why is it too easy? What is it about that feels too easy? Are the battles, is everybody dying in one hit and you haven't even like leveled up or anything? Maybe they need a little bit more HP or a little bit more defense. If you've leveled up and they die in one hit, that makes sense because you've leveled up, you've attained that power, and now you're rewarding the player with the ability to smash through enemies, right? And if the opposite, if your battles take too long and it takes like 10 hits to kill an enemy, well, they probably have too much defense or too much HP or both. Too much magic defense. There's several things that could be changed if the battles are too long. You don't want very, very long battles unless it's a boss battle towards the end of the game or something. $800, 27, and then werewolf, which I did. Good. Okay, that's a 45 and a 32. So werewolf got a big buff. Fire bat almost done here. This made it a lot faster though. 850, 31. Because jumping back and forth up and down the database is, I don't know, kind of annoying. Goes piranha. He got an attack boost. Yeah, I adjusted their growth rate in the melon worm I change the melon worm to be an ice worm? I did. I was like, it looks like a watermelon. I'm going to call it a melon worm. Let's just go like this. And make it a frosty ice worm. That's not the right color. It's more blue. Okay. Ice worm. And he was underpowered. Yeah, these were later creations that were just underpowered because 80. Okay. 60. 50. These need to be looked at. I don't know if I'm going to keep them the way they are. I'll fight them a little bit more and see how they feel. Gotta beta test your own game a lot. And their stats, these stats are much higher because you get declining growth rates according to the changes I made to the enemy levels plugin. So to compensate, you'll see enemies with higher base value stats, which would make sense. Like if they're encountered later on and you want them to be more difficult, you can increase their stats. That way when you go back to an area you've already been in, even though the enemies have leveled up, they're significantly weaker than you, so you can feel like you've gained power over them, you can smash on them. This was after a discussion I had with T about scaling power with enemies. Remember the discussion we were having about how you were saying, I think you should be able to smash on enemies in one hit and beat them if you've already leveled up and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm talking as a min-maxer who spends hours and hours and hours grinding because for some ungodly reason I have to have, like, epic levels and experience before I move on in the game.
Well, that's how you play RPGs, right? You power level and grind until you're max level or very, very, very powerful, get the best stuff, and then just smash the last boss and like it was super easy.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. But if the trash mobs take like 2-3 minutes to go through, it's like, I don't like this.
This
very
is not
much.
fun. Yeah. You want progression.
Yeah. Quick,
it's your progression and you want it now.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Guys, I think we need to end the live stream soon. We are going to hit OK, and we're going to get some capture weapons and try to capture some of these creatures. Just to test everything real quick, using this file save 10 that we got going on over here. And then we're going to try to fight them in the arena. So let's go here, get some capture weapons. Maybe I can buy 2. Yeah, I can get 2. Let's get a capture gun and a capture katana. And they'll auto-equip when I press equal sign, and it puts on the most optimal weapons. And my characters are using garbage because I rushed through the end to see what it would be like as a power leveler going through the game, or not a power leveler, a speedrunner going through the game. The power leveler is another playthrough that takes a lot longer. That's the opposite spectrum. The speedrunner wants to get through the game as fast as he can to beat the game or accomplish certain tasks like challenging themselves to beat faster times. So Olgwyn's weapon didn't get updated. Capture. Yeah, I know what happened. I'm going to fix this real quick. One little thing, I changed it on the katana to test it, to see if it would actually change it, but I didn't change the weapon unleash on the rest of the capture weapons, so I need to do that really quickly. So I'll go to replace attack with capture, and I'll just start at the top and all of the capture weapons. So what I'll do is go to the top, press Control F, type in capture, and then when I find it here, I'll just replace this weapon unleash with weapon replace attack, capture, hit apply, go to find next, replace this with that, apply, find next, replace attack, apply, find next, and this was the katana which we started with, find next, and we just kind of paste it here, apply that, find next, paste it here. You don't have to hit apply after every one, that's some OCD stuff.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
Yes, you do. Absolutely have to hit apply. And that's it. So we've gone through them all. So now now we'll do our final little play test.
Doc Weeze, yes. I really don't like when enemies progress with the characters. I mean, I could totally rage over that, I think.
I've changed it in a way that they do get stronger, but
you always feel some level of
you're
character
always gain. Like
yeah.
when you both level up, you're going to level up at a much higher rate, parameter-wise, than the enemies. So the enemies get these extreme diminishing returns on their higher level. So it really applies to their base stats. So if you want enemies to be harder, they don't just go up in levels. Their base stats have to be raised. That's why the enemies that are supposed to be harder have higher base stats. But they all get stronger. So when you go back, the enemies are harder, but not even comparable to the levels of strength that your party has gained, especially because you'll have access to higher level equipment.
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed that some of the best games I've ever played do, like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy, Phantasy Star, they have these trash mobs throughout the world that are really easy to level with and really easy to grind, but then you get like this random cave or dungeon where they just kick your butt. But once or twice throughout the game, not the entire game, which I think is fine.
Right.
Like Zozo, but I don't look forward to going to Zozo on Final Fantasy VI when I play it again. I don't want to go to Zozo.
You don't like the rainy town of Zozo?
It's so annoying.
Here's the thing: everybody tells the truth in Zozo. It is a very honest town in Zozo. Do you know you can get I think it's the chainsaw for Edgar there.
Yeah. There's a bunch of secrets. It's a really cool game.
Did I not put on the right weapon? Or did I not buy it? I didn't buy it. Gosh. What did I buy then? Did I buy the wrong weapon? Hold on. And I also saved over it. Why did I do that? I was in the middle of conversation or something. I'm a dum-dum. Weapons. I bought 2 capture katanas, because I'm a big genius. Well, what are you gonna do? Well, we know it works.
Next time on Drifty Balls.
Next time. Anyway, guys, we've updated a lot with the capture system, and I want to just capture one creature. Can I capture one creature? And then see it appear in the menu. Like, I want to capture one of these guys, and then go into the arena and see it there. These guys are really hard. I'm supposed to have the Bard on my team at this point. So what I would actually do is get the Bard and then test this whole thing out. Can I do that? Do I have time for that? Let's see. Continue. Let's do the file 9. Do I have time to get Bard, Dark Hero, which this cutscene with Sound Cipher speed up script. Oh, the Bard is higher level too, so that's great. I need to change that back. I'm going to do that after this test play. Also need to change the TP cost on the Thrinities. They should not be 1, they should be higher than that. Yada yada. This guy joins the party. we're gonna run from this fight because we need to get those weapons first. So I want to get a couple of capture weapons. Let's get the gun since Olgwin's doing a ton of damage. Capture gun and the capture katana. There we go. And we'll get a token. Here we go. We're going to save it over. We'll optimize our equipment. There we go. And we will save it over the bunked up file tab. And now all I want to do is test that. If I capture one of these creatures, it increases the variable, and then we go into the arena and the creature that we captured is there and is fightable. And then I will consider today a huge success. If we get into an encounter with like 3 enemies, I'm going to run. 2 I'll deal with. 1 is perfect. Okay. So let's start off with a Striker's Minuet. Get some attack bonus because it will still help us. We don't want to kill it. What we actually want to do is damage it and then try to capture it with the weapon. So I'm going to start with the Flame Shot 2 and then provoke it with our tank. And we'll use Tachi Kasai. And then we'll just have Olgwin and Driftwood shoot and slice at it with the capture skill. Okay, capture. Almost got it, but not quite. Knight's Valor, and Driftwood should come in and capture. Bang, you've captured a melon worm. I need to update the text on that. That's actually changed to an ice worm. That's fine. I'm glad that that happened so that I can... Melon! Okay, skill on capture. This creature says you've captured hybrid moth. Where's the melon worm? Change that to ice worm. It just fits the narrative better. Frost worm, something like that. Doc Wee says, I'm waiting on one day for Tease Jams to throw an after stream when Drift finishes up a session. Should totally do that.
Probably have to wait for the baby to get a little older. I can't
Yeah,
believe she's been napping this whole time.
Yeah, the only reason T's been able to join us is because baby fell asleep. So we got our token. Please, please, please. Let's see Ice Worm. Let's see it appear. Let's see an Ice Worm appear. So we should have 5 choices, right? Let's fight regular monsters. Watermelon Worm. All right. This save, I didn't initialize those 4, so we have 1. But the Watermelon Worm option, which needs to be changed, again, it's not a watermelon.
Why not? That sounds amazing.
Because it just doesn't...
You should make a graphic of a giant fat watermelon with like little worm ends on it.
Well, the enemy, the color scheme, he had like this green and red like swirl. It looked like a watermelon. I don't know, but it just kind of felt really weird. And this game, I'm not playing on that really goofiness like I do in Natural Explorers.
Yeah.
Natural Explorers is going to have that. It would be a watermelon worm. This is more of like your classic, very typical.
A little more serious.
A little more serious fantasy RPG. So I didn't want to do that here. Like I said, I don't want all my games to be the same.
Right.
And so I want to have the serious fantasy setting here, and then more of a jokey setting in another game. Let me just change that really quick. That would be in the common event of that thing. So that's also the name of a variable that I need to change. Imagine. This is up to the werewolf. Then the next show choice is watermelon worm, which we're going to change to ice worm for now. Ice worm. That one's updated. One more thing has to happen. The name of the variable that shows up. So I can fix that real quick. Just by changing the variable name.
We wore her out today.
This one. Yeah, she went shopping with us. She was such a good girl. I thought she'd be like a little kind of upset or something, but no. Oh wait, hold on. Cancel this. Cancel this. Edit this. Why was that in another spot? I mean, obviously that's the right thing, but whatever. I'm going to ignore that little bug. And change this to, say, ice worm. Ice worm. And we can have a space. And why not we put a space in here too? Boom. Okay, and why not put a space in here too? And then also, why not put a space in here too? Typically, you know, when a lot of spaces cause problems, but the name, like I said earlier, does not matter. It's only looking at the variable location. But I need to go here and make sure I'm using the right one. Ice worm is here. So capture 37, ice worm, choice 15. I'm not going to count them all, but should be 2 after it. Ice worm 16, 17, and none. Okay, so that's updated. All of the instances of watermelon and melon worm have been changed. Good. We got, and we fight it in the arena. And now, if we try to capture this one, it won't, because it's calling a battle with the arena version of this. So we can't capture it again, but we can fight it over and over and over here and get similar rewards. I also need to do one last change. Okay, that's the big change. The arena is working. It's fantastic. I want to look at the experience and the gold really quickly. It'll feel good to have this all set up and done. Enemies. So are these numbers the same? And should they be? I'll look at the first one, and then I'll look at the last one and see if they're the same to save some time real quick. No, they're not. They're not the same. They've been decreased on the arena version of them. I'm going to take a look at that later, but that's where I'm going to... I'll do the same thing. I'll take a picture or something and change them so that they match. But I also want to think about it a little bit more. Do I want the arena to award the same amount of experience in gold? Because you're also getting a bonus for fighting them here with tokens, right? So do I want them to be the same rewards, or do I want like a slightly less amount of experience and or gold when fighting in the arena? I'll have to think about it. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out and saying hi and asking questions and participating in the combat that takes place here. I was going to say in the chat, and I said combat. It's been a long day, guys, but I think I've had a good time here. We've made some progress. So thank you so much for coming. Again, if you like this, give the video or live stream a thumbs up. That's appreciated. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you need more RPG Maker content in your life. And come hang out in the Discord if you need a place to talk about your stuff and see what everybody else is talking about. Yeah. Support me on Patreon if you have the cash to throw at me. I could really use it right now. And love you guys very much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. T furiously typing.